People think like cracking the job is the most difficult thing, but nowadays surviving in the industry is the most difficult thing because
Students who are studying, they are applying for the jobs, but they are saying my resume is not getting shortlisted. So according to you, what's the biggest mistakes you see on resumes?
there are two, three mistakes. One is the resume is very generalized.
You know, most success stories in tech sound the same. They talk about the same schools, the same jobs, the same path. But our guest today proves that there isn't just one way to make it. Her story starts not in a fancy office, but as a student who loved to explain things. While others were just learning, she was already teaching, writing for thousands of readers online. She worked hard, learned every day, and her journey reached a truly amazing moment. Her face was on a huge screen in the middle of Times Square, New York. She is a brilliant software engineer, a gifted teacher, and a wonderful role model. Please welcome Tisha.
Disha, welcome to Silicon Stories. Before we dive into the technical details, we had to start with something incredible. You were featured on Times Square in New York City. Can you tell us the story behind that? What was that moment like for you?
First of all, thanks for inviting me at your channel. So, Times New York, right? So, it was something that happened very unexpectedly. So, like what happened in my case, right? Like, I cracked Walmart, like, it was off campus, like, Walmart opportunity. So when I cracked it, right, nowadays it's very easy to crack a big MNC or a tier 1 company or a tier 2 company because we have so many resources. But that time it's like you are figuring it out on your own. So when I did that, right, I just started sharing my learnings over LinkedIn, and also like I started mentoring people over TopMate. TopMate was a new product that time, and I mentored around 100 people for free. Like I didn't charge anything for it. So TopMate decided to feature some of the top content creators which has who has got very good reviews. So like they featured me on the top Times Square. So it was not something that they informed us earlier also. Like it was not something planned, and it was not something that I was chasing. It happened because I was doing something else, like mentorship of the people, and like they featured it.
That's great. Being featured on Times Square is absolutely an honor.
Yeah, yeah, it feels unreal. Like seeing yours, like when Topmate approached, right? They asked you your pictures, your family pictures, like the people who supported you, in short, and like seeing yourself on that screen with your family and friends, like it is a very surreal moment.
Yeah, it's a dream come true moment for you and almost everyone who want to feature on that. And let's discuss about the students or new grads. You are on very top demanding job and working at Walmart, and you are also an active mentor and you have guided a lot of students. So I want to ask a few advices from you for the fresh grads. First is, as a mentor, what's the biggest gap you see between the students who are learning in colleges and what they actually want to know in the day one of their job, like things which matter in job but they are not learning in the college?
So firstly, I'll say like people think like cracking the job is the most difficult thing, but nowadays surviving in the industry is the most difficult thing because we every day we hear about layoffs, right? So it's not always mass layoff. It is performance based also. Like people are actually put into PIP as well. So when person crack a dream job, right? Amazon, Walmart, Microsoft, anything, they feel like it's all done. Now they can sit back and relax, and it's all dreamy from there. But it's not like that. So biggest gap that I see between college and real world is like college teaches you theory, but company it's more about execution. In college, right, you always think like you will start something from scratch. You write every line of your project, right, and you know exactly like which line does what and like how all of it fits together. But in the company, like it's written by it's a different ball game. Like you have written one code, like 12 or 13 people have already worked on that piece of code before you. So it's not about like creating new things all the time. It's about understanding and fixing that things. And that is also where I feel like people like does not perform well. They are good at creating something from scratch, but when it comes to reading someone else code, debugging that, so they are very poor at it. So it's very important that you know, like you understand the piece of code also. And in company it's not about one project, it's about 10, 12 microservices that your team might be handling, right? So it's important that in your free time you just take that initiative to like understand the project when you join the company. And also one thing that I feel is a problem, right? People always feel that like okay, they will like they have joined Amazon for example or Walmart, so they will now build something very big. So that is the dream or like thing in their mind, but when they go there they will realize that it is more about maintenance, or like they are hired for back end but they are now doing front end work, and there they actually lose interest and did not perform that well. I'll like initially, right, even if your company or team is doing backend, people are not going to give you a good amount of work or good work. Like story of startups are very different, but in big MNC people generally don't get the work that they want. Firstly you have to prove yourself, right? So what I believe is maintaining that consistency. Like no matter what amount of work I have been given, it might be only CI/CD or like dependency upgrade, I have to do it. So what I think is college only tells students about theory. Okay, you will create a machine learning project or something like that, but they don't tell them like how they have to execute it, how they have to work under the pressure. And one thing more, like it does not prepare you for the politics also. Like I have been lucky that I got very good teammates, but in company, right, you also have to say no to many things. You have to be clear in your head like what you have to do.
Okay, great. And now students who are studying in the universities, they are applying for the jobs, and right now there are a lot of job openings. But what they are saying is my resume is not getting shortlisted. There are many mistakes in the resume, or maybe the resume template of projects, a lot of things. So according to you, what's the biggest mistakes you see on resumes of the inspiring engineers? Most common mistakes you see on the resumes?
Okay, there are two, three mistakes or patterns which I have observed. One is the resume is very generalized. By generalized, I mean like many of the resumes sound identical. Suppose I am reading your resume or a person B resume, and both of them have written like developed the application using Java or worked on backend API. I didn't feel any difference while reading your resume, a person A resume and person B resume. So how will I like be sure like which person I should give opportunity about this role, right? So one thing that I feel is like stop doing that. Like make your resume as specific and as personalized to yourself, and also like show impact. Like see, technologies can change. Today you are working on Java, maybe other person company is hiring you for Python, but all they wanted to see like how you took ownership, how much impact you created for the company, because in the end of the day they all are doing business, right? So you have to like tell them like numbers. For example, I optimize this API or optimize the query execution time by 70% by analyzing production logs. So now I like the 70%. I want to know like how you did this. And this is a question that is even asked to me in my interviews. Like, okay, you have mentioned this matrix like 70%, 80%, like how you measure that. So now, if you get an interview, be ready to answer that as well. Like, don't put any random numbers. If you are putting numbers, be ready to justify how you measure those numbers. But what I believe is like, stop making generic resumes first of all, and other than that, like, start putting impacts and quantify your resume as much as possible. And yeah, one biggest mistake, many resumes are so unclean, right, that I don't even feel like one bullet is here, other is here. So create a structured resume.
Okay, thank you for the advices. And just imagine student has created the resume, and after creating the resume, you find out a recruiter on the LinkedIn, and somehow you got the email of the recruiter. Then people say you should cold email or cold DM to the recruiter in the LinkedIn. Can you please tell us the format or the what should we write in that cold email so that recruiter can reply us back regarding that particular application?
Okay. See, even if you cold email, like nowadays market is literally bad. So even for the cold email, there is a possibility that you are not getting replies, but it's better than applying directly on the portal, I'll say. So if you are emailing someone, right, firstly make sure that it is respectful and short. and personalized as much as possible. So, for example, you can say something like, I really admire the work you have done at the company. For example, whatever company recruiter or the person you are pinging, especially around this. I recently built something similar, like around my in my internship or in my previous company, and like I would like to get an opportunity to interview for this role. For example, like see, for example, you see an opportunity, and now two things you have to make sure that you mention in that template. One is about the company, like why you want to join that company. For example, you messaged me like, and we are talking about Walmart, right? So you want to tell me like why you want to join Walmart only, first thing, and also why that JD aligns with you. For example, what skill set you have already have that makes you stand out for that job description. So this thing should be very crisp and clear in your message.
Thank you for the tips. Now we have covered almost a lot of things for the fresh grads and the students. Now let's talk about the experienced ones. Let's talk about the career growth for them. For those who are already landed in their first job, what's your advice on getting them for their first promotion?
Okay, so you are saying if someone is already working in the company, like what should they do to get a promotion?
Yeah.
So first thing, like forget the promotion. Like at least if you are SD1, right, do that job best. Like for example, whatever roles and responsibilities are of SD1, perform and master that well. So normally there is one notion that everyone say in a company, like if you are targeting a promotion for SD2, you should be already doing the work that a SD2 does. Like your past 6 months work should already be the same or as per as what a SD2 does. So start observing like what a SD2 is doing in your company, in your team, and start doing that amount of work. So mainly if you are targeting promotions, right, stop waiting for someone to give you task and okay, this is the task given to me, I have completed it. So that is not how you will stand out, right? Everyone, like if a company hire you, are you have to do the work. So you have to stand out, you have to do something extraordinary. So it's very important that you do step out of your comfort zone and take ownership. Maybe you go to your manager or tech lead and say, this is something like I see a problem in, right? I want to take up this task. Maybe I'll take less bandwidth, but I want to work on it. Maybe for in the starting you can also shadow someone, like if this is a very major task, but on and all you have to take ownership, and you also have to start discussion with your manager. It's not about like you are taking ownership, you are doing work, but and yeah, your manager see and she calls you and say, I want to give you a promotion. No, it does not work like that. There are number of people in your team who are already approaching your manager. So if you feel like you want a promotion, it's very important that you communicate to a manager. For example, you are having 1.5 year of experience, and you know in your company they give promotion at 2 year of experience. So it's very important that at 1.5 year experience only you communicate to a manager, I want that promotion, so that she's aware. So now you can like talk to her, like ask her like where I stand according to you, what better I need to do. So you can create a plan with her as well, and like start showcasing your work to her. I tell you from my experience, like when I was like when I wanted that promotion, right? So every bi-weekly I was having a meeting with my manager where she was telling me where I stand, like what extra I should do. And also like I was like my manager was not part of my daily scrums, so she's not very deeply aware about what I am doing. But in those meetings I am telling her, I'm letting her know this is I'm working at, this is the impact of what I am doing, so that she knows each and every work that I am doing.
Okay, thank you. And I think a lot of people will get promotion after this. I noticed you made a fascinating move early in your career. You switched from Nokia to Walmart after only about 6 or 7 months. That's much faster than that 1 year rule people usually talk about. Switched companies after only 1 year. Can you walk us through that decision? How did you know it was the right time, and how did you navigate that switch so successfully?
So, see, things can work differently for different people. If something worked out for me, it's not like it will work out for others as well. But like in my case, what happened is like in the fourth year itself, like Nokia was the first company that visited our campus, and after cracking it, I was not allowed to sit in other drives. Like I cracked Microsoft also, but Microsoft used to come for support role, and I was very sure that I wanted a development role only. So I rejected that offer, though it was double than like what Nokia was offering me that time. But in my case, like I was debarred from sitting in the placements, and I actually knew like I deserve more. Like I was preparing for bigger companies. I'm not saying, I'm not underestimating any company. Every company is good to start with, but many times like okay, I want to work at that scale, right? For example, you want to work in this or this MNC, but that opportunity to give interviews itself I didn't get in my college. So nor I was very sure that this is not the place where I deserve to be. I deserve like bigger places. So that's when I started interviewing. Many people told me, like you told, right? Like normally it's after 1 year or 2 year. People told me like wait 2 years and then do the switch. But in my case, I was very sure, like, when I don't want to stay at this place, why to wait for 2 years? This is what my understanding was. Like, I don't, because also the work pace, the pace at which things are moving in Nokia, right? It's very different than it was in the Walmart. Like, scale wise, it's very huge in Walmart, but in Nokia, it was like, I was always comfortable in Nokia, like the work wise. But when I went to Walmart, right, I see like everyone in the room is smarter than me. Like my teammates are very knowledgeable, so I believe you should always go to the place where people around you are smarter so that you can learn something from them. So I don't think it's about like a normal perception, it's about what worked for you. And I thought like I calculated also, like even if I stay in this company for 2 years, like what will happen. It's better like I'll crack one company which I wanted to go in, and then I'll stay there. So for example, if you see my trajectory, right, I cracked Walmart and then I worked there for 3.5 years because I really liked the work which my team was doing.
Okay, and you said in your team, all the team members were smarter and intelligent than you. A lot of people actually think that all members are smarter than me. How will I survive in this team? And they faces a lot of pressure under them. So, any advice how they should absorb that pressure from themselves?
First of all, what I believe is like people are smarter. You are also at that place, right? So if, and those are the people who have hired you, like your tech lead, hiring manager, like your team members only took your interviews, right? So if they took your interviews and they hired you, obviously they have seen something in you, right, which you are not able to see. So first thing, like you are also talented. It's just that they are at that place for maybe years and you have landed just now. So there is a room for learning. So it's important that you start learning things. Like initially people in the team also will help you. So it's better like see, don't wait for a year. Okay, after a year I'll get more work. I'll start learning that time, because no one will going to help you at that time because you're already a year old in the team. So when you join, right, many people are very supportive, like you are given proper KTs and all of that. So it's very good time when you actually explore the projects and ask your teammates, they will actually help you. So in my opinion, like sometimes you also have to dedicate extra amount of time maybe over the weekends. For example, you are working in Java earlier, but now your tech stack is Python and you don't know about it, so you have to give your weekends maybe 2 or 3. But initially it's fine, I don't say give all of your weekends, but sometimes when you step into a new place, right, you have to do something extra maybe for months or two, and then it will be okay.
Okay, and nowadays job market is almost not as much good as earlier. So they are asking a lot of tech stacks, and what freshers are doing is they are learning a lot of tech stack. Like, okay, I will learn this, I will learn this, I will learn that, and all. So what is most important? Learning a lot of things, a lot of tech stacks at once, or being a master in one thing? What is more important according to you?
See, I will not tell from an interview standpoint, because see, it varies from company to company. So there are like so many companies, right? Startups, unicorn, MNCs. So what I tell you, right? So for example, if you are targeting a startup normally look for a person who are actually ready to do the job from day one. For example, if their current tech stack is Python, they will be happy to have someone who know Python. But that is not how things work in MNC, right? Because if you take any big MNC, mostly interviews are not language specific. It's data structures, system design, and role specialization role is also there, but it's for senior positions. So initially it's more about data structures and system design, problem solving. So I'll say initially it's fine. Like according to me, one should be generalist initially, and as and when they grow, they should choose like what suits them more. So for example, like what I mean to say here, right? In your college or early internship days, try different things like backend, front end, maybe bit of cloud or data, because that exposure will actually help you to understand what I really like or what actually excites me, right? And so when you get that understanding what you want to do gradually, because you will also figure out, right, what is your area of interest, then maybe you can go towards specifics. But initially it's fine to be a generalist and like try out different things, because in the initial, like, see, job market is definitely very bad, but like to a 1 year experienced person they are not expecting that depth.
And looking back at your own journey, if you could give your college self or first year self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Okay, first of all, I don't have much regrets professionally. So even if I have to give one advice, right, I'll just say that stop underestimating yourself, because like now it's better, but like earlier I used to underestimate myself a lot. So I always thought like I'm 2, 3, but in reality, like I was much more than that. People around me know that I am 8 or 9, but I used to underestimate myself. So I want to advise myself that you don't need to figure out everything at once. It's fine if you don't have answers or everything planned out perfectly, because life does not work that way, and that is okay. What truly matter is like you don't give up. So there are time when things will be confusing, when you will doubt yourself, because progress also will be invisible many a times. So what is important is like we just keep on going, because most of the time I believe like when I was underestimating myself, I was doing better than many people around me. But so yeah, big thing is like I should be more confident in my skills, and it's okay if things does not go planned. So for example, if I got a dreamy placement from my college only, then how will I be telling my story, or like how I'll be inspiration to people who are trying off campus, right? So it's better that it didn't turn out like how I planned it.
Thank you for your journey and advising others. One last question to wind it up. What's the next big goal you are like? What you are thinking to do next?
Professionally, like in the last 1 year I learned a lot around system design. And one funny thing is like more I learned, more I feel like I don't know anything. So because it's the beauty of learning, because people who knew less, right, they always think that they know very much, but when you start going into something deep you will realize how little you know. So I want to like continue that journey. I want to learn system design more, not because I want to crack any interview or like add a new line to my resume anymore. I'm learning it, I want to learn it because genuinely I have fallen in love with how massive system function, how data is moving. So yeah, that is what I want. I'm thinking about doing next. And also one another thing is like I want to grow again as a content creator. So over the last 2 years, right, I took a step back from creating content. This is something I truly enjoyed. Like I got invitations from many colleges and communities, but I didn't make it to many of them because of my schedule or because of my personal reasons. So now I really want to change that. I want to speak more, share more, connect more, because that I feel is part of me. And personally also, like this is on the professional front, personally also, like I feel that professionally I have no regrets like what I have done in my life, but personally I feel like I have not lived my life that fully. So I want to travel more and I want to enjoy my life.
That's great. And thank you for your time, Disha. Finally, we have done.
Yeah, we planned it since very long, right? But it's not being done. Sometimes you
Yeah.
are busy, sometimes I'm busy.
Yeah, but finally we have done this,
Sure.
ready to watch your content and travel reels.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.